I sure wish Arsenal did this yesterday.
Against this right back, Charlie's definitely.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
You always just go active red light. I've been given like.
People deluded, I'm back again. Happy Monday, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Smash the like button, big up you lot on Twitch, and let me know your thoughts both in terms of what's happened in relation to yesterday's game against Chelsea, what you think that means for the title, etc. Now, 5 p.m. I've got a tactical analysis video. Obviously, big up you lot that was part of my watch along and everyone that's watched my match reactions. I personally think I've exhausted my own thoughts. Now, immediately, it's disappointing to be 4 games on the spin now without a victory. Feels like, such a long time since Arsenal won. And what was that, Southampton? Obviously, we can't keep our players fit. Declan Rice played with a broken toe and there's rumours he'll pull out of England. Saka obviously came off injured. On one hand, I think it's a point gained. I think a point is a fair result against Chelsea. On another, I think it's 2 points dropped, and simply put, it's losing ground in the race for to win the Premier League title. Liverpool are in great form. City, while they might be battered and bruised and in a bit of a rut off their own, everybody expects them to go on a bit of a run, and that just leaves Arsenal. And the more points you drop, obviously, the bigger mountain you have to climb. Really, on one hand, I don't want to draw too many conclusions. I personally don't think we'd win the league. I was pessimistic on that. It's not quite what you want to see at the third time of asking, but when you look at the data, there's 11 games played, there's 27 more games. Now we're going to need to go on a run. We're going to need to win games, of course, but as poor as City have been in comparison to Liverpool, who you can only find plaudits, Liverpool only 5 points clear. Now again, everybody has to play each other twice and whatnot. But if this was in February, March, April, then you could look at it differently. If Liverpool mess up in their next 2 games and City win, that flips it on its head. Then I think there's far too many conclusions being drawn. But I do think we engineer our own issues. I think the goal we conceded was extremely poor. Take nothing away from Pedro Neto. We haven't cleared our lines properly. Obviously, we got the goal. Trossard's had a bit of a poor season and been the villain yet again. I think it's been poor for Trossard. He's missed a penalty. He sulked against Aston Villa. He got sent off against City. And obviously missed about 2 tap-ins. I think people need to put a bit of respect on Mikel Moreno's name, if I'm honest. I think he had a good cameo. When Saka came off, Jesus was poor. I'm not going to lie. I called for it on my watch-along. I did want to see young Ethan play right wing. I mean, Arsene Wenger used to put those future number 8s and 10s out wide all the time, and Ethan can do that. So yeah, I still don't think we're playing enough in central areas. I don't think we're penetrative enough in that regard. Of course, Odegaard was a step in the right direction. He got an assist, he created 4 goals, and I believe had a passing accuracy of 92%. But if one man is in charge of being the creative hub and he's not just a facilitator and we have other side acts, I'm not sure. And it's a game of fine margins. Chelsea, if they could header, would have had a couple of goals. Gusto probably should have scored. Moreno probably could have got a hat-trick. Trossard needs to score for me. But it is what it is, people. I don't think we can have any complaints. The issue is isolated to the Chelsea game. I think there's things we did well and things we did poor. And fans are right to ask those questions. But I think, the frustrations are boiling over because of what, the ramifications of winning, losing and drawing means fighting for the title. Obviously, we find ourselves not happy with what we're seeing on the football pitch with our eyes. And we haven't won in 4 games, really. So, yeah, as I always say, Liverpool will drop points, City will drop points. That's all fun and games. Liverpool and City could lose all 27 remaining games at this moment in time, people. If we do the same, then we're in trouble. There's 80 odd points. I think I did the maths. 27 games free. It's like 81 odd games, 81 odd points. So there's still a lot to play for. But one thing's in order. We need to get our act together. 6 p.m. I'm gonna have a fan show, people. And admittedly, it's nice to do the fan shows because I'm tired of offering my opinions, people. Big up you lot. David Coote video is mad. Ryan, I saw it and I'm pretty sure everybody's seen it now. it's jarring. And, you know, again, it's what I say. These refs are human beings with their own conscious and unconscious bias and opinions. I don't know who the man sat next to him is, really and truly. It looked a bit of a weird video. I'm happy that it was just the ref doing something, because I thought it was something that I wasn't signing up for. But it's absolute nonsense. He probably will get suspended. And the way he talked about Jurgen Klopp and all of that was unsavourable, man. Shout out yourself, CS Edward. You're always here, part of the furniture. So are you, Social Joint. So one love. Mark Henry, what have you said? Good afternoon, DG Manners. Right back at you. And all them Manners. Not, I think you mean not all doom and gloom for me. I believe we'll now pick up 7 to 10 wins on the bounce, and Liverpool, I feel, now will get draws. That's a long time coming. Keep your heads up, Gunners, forever. I hear you. And again, you know, a week's a long time in football. 11 games have been played. There's too many narratives. I think we'll eventually start winning games again, but we'll also drop points. And I'd wonder if now, I mean, ultimately in May, we're going to see if this is what cost us the title, if this is where the point, which I hope happens, where we're battered and bruised, we're feeling sorry for ourselves, we go and win the title, or if we go down the cliff. It's down to the players and Mikel Arteta to address that. And I do think a lot of it has come with what we have or haven't done in the market. I do think we've been found out a bit. I do think we've been, for a team that talks about consistent evolution, I do think we've been a bit stale. Yes, there's been injuries, suspensions, players playing without real fitness and whatnot, but I think these are just little parts of the ingredients as to why we find ourselves in this. Ultimately, football's decided at both ends. We haven't been defending well enough. We have not put our best foot forward in the final third. Midfield really and truly hasn't been anything to scream and shout about. So I don't think we can have any complaints. Liverpool will drop points, but again, it's about us needing to take advantage of such. And ultimately, it's out of our hands now. Like, what, 9-10 points off Liverpool? Yes, it's November, but all we can do is win games, and the narrative takes care of itself, in my opinion. I think we're getting frustrated too early on. 27 games, anything can happen, which is true. But I'm not saying anyone's saying this. I'm not a fan of negatively burying my head in the sand or positively burying my head in the sand. That's ingrained in copium. I think there's enough reasons to be pessimistic. I think there's enough reasons to be optimistic. I think there's a mixed bag, really. And I think, yeah, that's just what I think, really. But anything can happen. But one thing's for certain, we need to get our act together quick and fast. If Liverpool beat City, it's over, bro. Probably, but it's, as Wenger said, it's not over until it's mathematically possible. Impossible, better yet. One thing's for certain, it's out of our hands currently. And all we can do is get back to basics, use this international break for the players that aren't traveling and playing for their countries to get back to basics, man, because we need to win. Anytime you don't win, again, the mountain gets higher and higher. Yes, we've got Nottingham Forest, we're at the Emirates. You look at their form, you look at ours, boy, it could be a tricky one. It's these kind of games that have been the spanner in the works. I mean, the one thing I would say from yesterday is, for me, we're still unbeaten against the top 6. And I know I'm being very harsh because there's obviously other contexts, but I look at the Brighton game, I look at the City game, I look at the Liverpool game, and I look at the Chelsea game. At some point, we've taken the lead or been in the lead or in the driving seat. And for one reason or another, we've not got it over the line. And again, there's a lot of, mathematically can still fight and do all of that. But me as a fan, I feel those moments, like if we beat Liverpool, if we beat Chelsea, if we beat Brighton, yes, we had 10 men and all the other examples I said. I think if you get those points on the board, obviously we'd be a lot happier and, we'd be a lot more bullish about our title challenges. But I personally feel, regardless of the maths in the games, it's them kind of games or those kind of fine margins that win or lose you a league title. And obviously we've not had the result we would have liked. Going into this season, it was a case of fine margins that make all of the difference. Bringing in a striker, having proper competition for Martinelli and Saka / Deputy, having that midfielder that can break the lines and all of that, which we don't necessarily have. Being able, while injuries are harsh, being able to cope with injuries, which we've had to deal with since the start of the season. The one thing I would say is, and I don't put too much stock in this, everybody has to play everybody twice, so it doesn't really mean anything. And there obviously has been red cards. There's definitely a lot that Mikel Arteta and the players have to do on the training ground, isolated to the variables we can control. We haven't put our best foot forward in that regard. But you look at our start to the season, it's not been as cozy as some others. And, I do think there'll be a bit of normalization across the league campaign. It's no excuse. And we beat Villa, but we had Spurs away, Villa away, Newcastle away, City away, Liverpool at home, Chelsea away, and some other examples. So, yeah, man. I mean, I think I'm not saying Arsenal will be top or Liverpool or City will fall off or whatever. But if you look at the league table now, you see where everybody is, not just in terms of winning the league or top 4 or Europa or whatever have you. you just look at the league positions, the goals for, the goals against. Too many conclusions are being drawn, and I think, you know what, we're in the 10-11th game mark now. Once you get to the 20/21 game mark, there'll be very different talking points. But we need to get our act together, and I would say on the scoring front, the players need to get their shooting boots back, and I think Mikel Arteta has to go back to the drawing board with creating chances, because we still only had 3 chances on target. You know, in the last few games, that's been it. That's been what we have. Yes, Odegaard made the difference, but we haven't really got into double figures. I do think, you know, the Inter Milan game and the Chelsea game, in terms of the performance beyond the obvious result, was a step in the right direction. But ultimately, it's points on the board. Like Mikel Arteta said, we're going to be judged by results, and ultimately, that's all that matters. You know, you could argue that we were better than City last season. They won the Premier League, so they were better than us. So the year before that, obviously, is very different, but it's well known we was, what was it, like 200 odd days top of the table? It's just about getting over the line now, really. And I think Mikel Arteta, like, I have no doubt. I think you're actually a genius in terms of a coach. Not so much at the moment, but I think you're quite a genius in terms of your coaching. I think you're innovative. I can't, from a purely coaching point of view, I can't sing Mikel Arteta's praises enough. That being said, I'm an Arsenal fan, and again, the rebuild, the tactics, that's all great. It's now a case of getting over the line, and there has to be question marks if Arteta fails to do this. I'm not saying to sack him or keep him, and we all know he signed a new deal, but there's been a lot of money spent. There's been a lot of praise. There's been a lot of stuff, really and truly. So it's about getting over the line, man. Big up DG. I personally think the league is done for us. I know we'll get back to our best probably when the pressure's off, but again, it'll be too late. We have squad depth but lack quality in depth, and that's affecting us. I hear you with the lacking in quality in terms of depth, but then I wonder, you know, is Mikel Arteta using his tools in the best way? He's within his rights to play Rice as an 8, but he was known as one of the best 6s about. You've now made him, you've now made him an 8. You know, Kai Havertz is very service reliant. Again, it was another game yesterday. Yes, he scored and it was disallowed. Still not creating, and I guess he could do more in that. Bukayo Saka was kept quiet by Cucurella, but there has to be some correlation with us not really having any real penetrative play in the midfield, and not really getting a tune out of Havertz and Saka in particular, which on paper, they're 2 of our most potent attackers. So again, Mikel Arteta has to go back to the drawing board. Ironically, you know, even the crosses, I think Pedro Neto put more accurate crosses in for Chelsea than we did as a whole team. So what we've become accustomed to, set pieces and crosses, that isn't exactly working. And watching the game again and again, please make sure your notification bells are on, people. 5 p.m. I've kind of gone over this and condensalized from a tactical point of view, watching the game again. When you look at it, we could have done a smash and grab. We could have nicked it yesterday and things of that ilk, right? The only time watching the game again, I felt second half opened up a bit, but the only time I felt, yeah, we might score is ironically when Mikel Moreno came on, which I'm not criticizing Moreno. I think he's been in for a lot of unfair criticism by Arsenal fans. He's just running in the box. He's having these half kind of chances. So why is it taking that long? Is Mikel Arteta utilizing all of his tools in his box in the best way? Now, he knows more about football than me. I'm an Arsenal fan. We've got good players. Yes, I want a striker and a winger and all of this, but the players are substantially better than what they're showing now. This is a bit of a barren patch, and it happens. You have to get out of it. City are going to get out of it. I hope they don't. Of course, I hope City don't get out of it, and I hope Liverpool drop points. But one thing's for certain, we're going to have to get our act together, guys and girls, and we're going to have to do it sooner rather than later. That ref video looked booky and hella boy. It did. It looked dodgy, man. I think many Arsenal fans are losing their mind because it's Liverpool up top, not City, my theory. Probably, and I'm not going to lie, obviously, football's a funny old game, but if Arne Slot goes and wins that league title, there has to be question marks on Mikel Arteta. Because again, you know, Liverpool could fall off. They could win the title and get poor, but he hasn't had too long to work with them Liverpool bunch of players. Of course, he's probably got his own ethos and ways of doing things that are completely unlike Klopp. But I would imagine Arne Slot, just because of the size of Liverpool and the squad, and you not being able to do what you needed to do in the transfer market, I don't think there's been too much dramatic change. He's got a tune out of some of the players he's got. He didn't have a transfer window. Obviously, people can sit here and say they haven't played anyone. Everybody plays each other twice. You can only play what's in front of you. Maybe Arne Slot and Liverpool were sitting there thinking about winning the league. maybe they were sitting there and saying, let's just win our games. And obviously they've been winning their games. They've put themselves in the talking points. I just think it's a bunch of things. I think you're right. I think frustration with Liverpool, frustration with us not taking advantage of where City are a bit of a barren run. Because you look at last season when we finished off with 2 points. If we had the Arsenal that was picking up points last season, we might be looking at things differently. I think there's question marks over the whole club and Mikel Arteta with us aspiring to win a trophy. Evidently, we haven't been playing at our best since the start of the year. And we ain't won in 4 games, really. You know, it's been a bit of a dark sentiment, and it always leaves a sour taste in your mouth when you lose a game going into the international break. Fair enough, this is only a week, but it's not exactly nice. And for me, I would add on to that, you're just giving yourselves a bigger mountain to climb, because we can go on a run, but this is assuming we don't drop points again. And again, for me, yeah, you can talk about referees and stuff, but isolated to the variables that this football club can control on and off the field, I don't think we've done it, and I think we've shot ourselves in the foot. And I think I've said it for the last few years now, I think we have this element of shooting ourselves in the foot and making things a lot more difficult than it needs to be. Sadly, our attack is pretty weak for a title or Champions League, secure top 4 and win a domestic. But then this is the very thing people wanted Wenger gone for then. So have we gone through all of this with Mikel Arteta just for that? There's issues. And I don't think, by Mikel Arteta's own words, when he comes out and says we want to win the league, we're going to be judged by results, the players as well. You have to live and die by the sword in that regards. And again, Mikel Arteta's amassed this team. You've gone into the season not being able to answer the question if Martinelli's going to bag. Kai Havertz, I think, take nothing away from Kai because I like him, but I think in hindsight, in terms of our pursuit of wanting a striker, him finding his feet in the goal scoring front probably was the worst thing that happened to this club, because there was an element of complacency and not upgrading. To be fair to the club, there was many fans that said don't sign a striker because we've got Kai Havertz. You know, if Saka can't do it on a football field, which you can't expect a man to do for 38 games, you're in trouble. You know you're running him into the ground. You know if he gets injured, you're in issues. The midfield, yes, you brought in Moreno. Don't think he's a bad signing. Partey's showed, Partey, boy, the legs are going in it, but I think he was decent yesterday. I'm a big fan of Rice, but they're all very kind of, beyond the obvious, they're all very similar. You need a younger kind of Jorginho. We need someone that splits the lines. Bearing in mind the recently departed Edu and Mikel Arteta, you were midfielders. Of course, you know, you have had defensive depth and there's been injuries, but you're engineering your own issues. This can't be no woe is me thing, really. We're standing in the rain with no jacket, in shorts, and we're complaining why we're wet. It does not make sense, man. And if we haven't got, for the 3rd year running, if we haven't got the tools to put teams to the sword, on the tactical front and in terms of personnel, then I'm sorry, that's on Mikel Arteta and Edu, really and truly. We're not working with some Sunday league footballers. Again, many fans were quick to tell me, oh yeah, we got 90 odd goals last season, this, that, and the third, which is true. I think there can be goals all around the side. Form dictates stuff, but you look at the set pieces. Yes, I like the fact that we score set pieces, provided we get back to doing what we're doing. How many of those goals came from set pieces? How many came by Bukayo Saka? You look at Trossard. The last 2 seasons prior to now, he was assist king and he was bagging. Hasn't quite done that. You're not really creating for Kai Havertz, to be fair, for him to do anything. The one chance I felt something was made for, Trossard took it off his foot, and also before they had a goal disallowed. But you can't answer if Kai Havertz is necessarily in August. You can't answer if Kai Havertz is going to get double figures. You don't know if Trossard's going to do things. You know Martinelli, you know, is a very volatile player. Gabriel Jesus has not been at his best. Odegaard has been missing, and he typically chips in with a few, throughout the season in the last 2 years. He's been gone. So we're engineering our own issues. If you're not able to keep clean sheets, which we've fallen off a cliff in that regards, 10 men or not, I give the club the luxury of when we've been down to 10 men, but we've fallen off a cliff in how we defend as a whole team. That Pedro Neto goal is horrible to concede. I'll be real. Very horrible. Very horrible. We're in the lead for 10 minutes and we got 11 men. This is where you need to get over the line. Of course, these things can happen, but it's happening too frequent in that we're doing well, we're getting the lead, and ultimately it's ending not in the way we would have seen. And, you know, if you're going to concede that goal you did for Pedro Neto, you need to nick it at the end, in which we had chances. The Neto goal's horrible. We haven't really, got our shape defensively. Everybody's all over the place. Kai Havertz, I would actually say Kai Havertz, Partey, Odegaard, Martinelli. If you go and watch that goal again, they've got us, like I said, they had a corner. We've somewhat dealt with it. We're still in a low block. We haven't really got out of it. Pedro Neto was giving it to Enzo Fernandez, who I told you to get an assist. Enzo Fernandez is giving it back to him. Pedro Neto just ran into space. Obviously, it's a great shot. The one person I'll give credit to, even though it meant nothing, is Timber. He's the one person that tried to stop that shot. Too little, too late. It's these kind of things that if these players, for all the money you're on, for some, for the expectation, for what they want to achieve, because they're the one, no one will be happier more than us fans, but you could argue no one will be happier more than the players. How many players win a league or win a trophy that are actively on the game? You're shooting yourselves in the foot, and you need to get to it. It's unsustainable, really. For Arteta, who talks about evolution and things like that, have we evolved? I think is the word this season, or have we become stagnant? We've tried to evolve. He's probably doubled down a bit too much on putting on the handbrake. And how strong are those defensive foundations? Because we're not exactly solid defensively. If I'm completely honest. Big up DG. Do you think Martinelli will start bagging goals now? Someone in this team needs to. I think Martinelli just needs, it's a thing where Martinelli, your decision making needs to improve, and then you'll get goals. I think the only one that can answer that is Martinelli, man. I'm quite pessimistic in that regards, but you know me, I'm a big fan of his, would love him to do such. Afternoon, DG, hope you're good. As for the question, it's not over till it's over, but we've given ourselves a lot to do with our recent form. There you have it. No clean sheet in 7 straight EPL games, got to fix up. We just need to win games one game at a time. I won't say the season's finito, Dermot. Am I very pessimistic about winning the Premier League? 100%. If I'm pessimistic about winning the Premier League, then you lot can work out how I feel about the Champions League. I want the FA Cup, give or take. Us and United, we win that trophy typically with a record, bring that home. A League Cup, I mean, it's not the thing of dreams, but it's a trophy. We're still in things. Mathematically, I think we've got a mountain to climb. I don't really see anything from my manager or my players to believe we're going to win the title, but you've got a chance. Stop feeling sorry for yourselves and pick yourselves up. Champions League, I'd rather win the champs than the Prem. That's an impossible dream for me, but you never know. With a bit of hard work, you never know what can happen. So if Dermot, as a fan, you're allowed to feel that. But anyone connected to Arsenal, whether that's the manager, the coaching staff, the recruitment staff, the players, anybody that dares to utter that, leave the club. Because you've almost got to be deluded, really, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, man, the season's not over for me, but I'll be surprised if we win the league or get any real silverware. I'll be brutally honest, man. And as I said, the hardest thing for me to accept is, if we lose out to Liverpool and City, fair enough. No one likes defeat, but I don't think we've exhausted everything we have. I think we've shot ourselves in the foot. I think there's been a bit of complacency. I don't know if there's another word for complacency, but I just feel the manager's got a bit of that Wenger stuff towards the end of his career, where you're reliant, you're thinking certain players are on a level they're not. Maybe we thought last season's luck was this. We're playing silly games, we're winning silly prizes. Big up DG, good to see Martinelli bag yesterday. Hopefully bigger things to come from him. Smash the like button. And you're right, man, we need everybody to play their part, really, if I'm honest with you. One thing I'll give the club credit for is in the second half we started to press a bit more organized, and that's why I'm happy Odegaard's back. I can't lie, if Slot wins the league, I'm Arteta out forever. Big up DG. I've supported Arsenal for more than 25 years, and I've never felt so let down by the club as a whole as I do this season. Richard, I hear you. I defo hear you. But really, many a years, up until the last 3, including now with the Emirates, really, we've been through a lot of trenches. You defo seen a lot worse in your last 25 years. I would say the issue is, now there's finally been hope. I'd say in the last 3 years, when you heard Glazides come out and we want to get Bayern Munich level, we want to do this, we want to do that. Ultimately, there's still been a lot of lip service from the club. But this is the first period where you could say, actually, the words are kind of somewhat correlating on the pitch. And they've made the fans inspired again, ultimately, to shoot us down again. Shout yourself, Riley. Bit of a shame about Spurs losing, ain't it, mate? There are still 3 other cups to go for. I hope the manager and players don't give up. It's tough to keep challenging and never get over the line, just human nature. But then you have to address what you're going with. Bro, even if we only win the FA or Carabao Cup, only he can go if we win both whilst challenging. Only one more season in that scenario. But DG, in my group chat, I said, I don't care how many goals we've scored. We need another attacker, striker, or forward. Tell them again, top 4 battle. If it's a top 4 battle, then people need to go in the summer, really, because that's regression. We're in the exact same place. Fair enough. We're a lot better under Arteta than we was under Emery. But the very things about an FA Cup, a League Cup, top 4, these are things people are crying about, really. I personally feel, Mikel Arteta will stay if we finish in the top 3-4 positions. If we bring a League Cup, people at the club will talk about who else are we going to bring in. There's been injuries, there's been this, there's been that. We know we're not on this Real Madrid thing as a club, man. This season, our defense hasn't been solid and our attack hasn't been clinical, been average. As I always say, our first attacker is David Raya. Our first defender is Kai Havertz. Go and look at the goal, what led to that corner. Go and look at how we've defended. We're not defending from the front well enough. We're not locking down in midfield. Our playing out from the back is still there in some capacity. Really, we only look half confident when we're knocking it into, which we didn't really do yesterday, knocking it into Kai Havertz and trying to win the flick-ons. We're not defending well. We're not attacking. The team is one fluid unit, and it's not been that. We give away leads because we stop trying to keep the ball. I'm not sure what he said there about the low block fail attempt. I just think we need to be a bit more street smart. DG question, has Arteta improved any player in the attacking third except for Saka over a long period of time? Yeah, I think so. I think Martinelli, even though that's one in itself, I think he's slightly better than he was. Obviously, you said Saka. Martin Odegaard's gone up heaps and bounds. Who else is there? Kai Havertz, yes, he won the Champions League at Chelsea, but his stock is probably a lot higher in this Arsenal team than it ever was in that Chelsea side in terms of getting plaudits. But again, there's not too many. You scratch. Yes, Smith Rowe once upon a time as well. I actually feel he improved Eddie Nketiah, but again, how much blood can you draw from that stone in itself? Arteta's engineering his own issues. There's too much money being... Obviously, I can cut the club some luxuries for losing games, for being in a rut, for refereeing decisions, for injuries to a slight degree. But you've been here long enough to know you need to improve the quality of squad depth. You need a striker. You need a central midfielder that actually offers something different. And we're Arsenal Football Club. We're not being assertive in games in the final third. We can't keep forcing Rice into the 8. That's what the gaffer wants to do. So he's going to have to live and die by that. With our DMs, we need to stick to one of them. Either play a 30-year-old Partey who's on good form or stick to your marquee signing in Rice, who is your best player and improved his on-the-ball play. I think we need an 8. We need someone that plays like that AC Milan lad, Rajes. We need that Santi Cazorla. We need that Cesc Fabregas. And for what it's worth, over a 38-game period, for me, I think there's games to play 3-6s, to play 2-6s, to play an 8, to take the whole handbrake off and say, forget a 6. Different solutions, and which Mikel Arteta hasn't been able to find real proper solutions. Odegaard, I'm not belittling him because we all know we missed Odegaard, but he only created 4 chances, 92% pass rate. He's the facilitator and the creative hub, but there should be creativity all over the field. Or fair enough, if you can't match Odegaard for quality, there should be suitable other options. You let Smith Rowe go, who's doing what he's doing. Fabio Vieira's gone on loan. You won't play Ethan, and I don't think you're not playing Ethan because of anything to do. Obviously, he's young, you make mistakes, all of that jazz, but I don't think it's anything to do with that. I think you're not playing Ethan because you do not want to, you don't want to attack, really. You don't want to have him doing what he's doing in the final third. You're on a defensive first thing. I mean, Eze would have been perfect. When does it end? Don't know, but what I can guarantee you is I'll be here, man. Afternoon, DG. Arsenal won't win anything if you keep Havertz as a striker. Boy, the thing is, I think we need to upgrade on Kai. I'll be brutally honest. I think you need a striker, but I think Kai's still a good squad player. But my issue is you're not putting Kai's best foot forward. He's not a striker. We all know he drops in deep and he pulls out to the right and he's a fighter and all of that stuff. You're not providing your striker with any service. Like, if we sign the Gyökeres tomorrow with this current attacking play, you can't sit there and of course, Gyökeres would probably get a bit more, make his own goals, but you can't expect all our issues to be solved. I say this week in, week out, how many chances are being made for Kai Havertz? You go back, look at the back end of last year, you saw Kai Havertz it being laid on a plate for him, and he's missing from 5 yards or so. Then you could blame him. You're not creating nothing. You're not creating anything for any of the attackers, really and truly. You've got a striker that needs service, and you're not doing anything. The only thing that was really created for him, Trossard took it off his foot, and before that, obviously, a quickly taken Declan Rice free kick. Obviously, the goal was offside, but what a good 30 seconds that was, thinking Kai scored again against his old club. Why are people hyping Partey up so much? The guy is average. There's been many an average player at Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, who have obviously, done very well. I think Partey did well yesterday. I just think Cole Palmer kind of rang some rings around him. You can see Partey struggles and dropping off a bit physically, a bit harsh. And if a 31-year-old whose contract is running out, we're saying all of this, what does that mean for the future of the club? I like Moreno. I do think you'll see Odegaard, Moreno, and Declan Rice kind of be the first choice midfield three at some point this season, but Partey deserves to be on the team sheet, in my humble opinion. DG, I'm deflated. Plenty of reasons to be deflated, my bro, but you got to get up, man. The sun comes up every day, regardless of if we're optimistic or pessimistic. What is Havertz's long-term role in this side? He's not good enough in midfield or striker, but Mikel will never drop him. Is he blocking us from getting a proper gunman, uncomfortable convos? Kai Havertz ain't blocking no one for nothing. If there's not another striker that is better than Kai Havertz at this club, because the club haven't signed one. Kai is, for me, I don't think we can win the title with Kai in the main role, but I think he can be part of the squad. I think we've drawn enough blood from that stone as we can. I just don't think he's got it. Long term, there's another issue, because you're going to have a German international in his mid-20s on 200 odd grand a week. Yes, he can rotate in and out up front, but you'd probably imagine if we sign Sesko, Gyökeres, Isak, all of these guys tomorrow, you're going to see Havertz probably reduced to the bench, but probably have to play in midfield a lot more. The only reason Arsenal have not signed a striker is because of them. They didn't want one. Kai ain't blocking no one. We're blocking ourselves, really. And you are right, man. You know, you would love to be able to talk about Kai Havertz in the same way you talk about his performances generally up front. You'd love to be able to talk about him in midfield. These are the issues. He's improved players, but his attacking patterns have only been good for a season and a half over 4 years. True, that 2022-23 season feels like such a long time ago. Barella, Reinders, De Jong, we desperately need a player like that who can pause on the ball and not panic. I hear it. Yeah, I think we messed up with our 8th position. We can't wait for Moreno to come good, even though I think he will. Arsenal lost the league, so the media stopped talking about us. That's the only benefit. If it's all, that's why I want to see fearlessness. If we look at the media or we look at results and we can't buy a win, we can't defend, we can't attack, Liverpool are running away with it, uncomfortable conversations on Mikel Arteta, City are in a bit of a rut, but they'll get with it, then let's just go undetected and get our act together. Because football's a fickle game. If we go, and again, I'm saying a lot of ifs and buts, and in terms of fighting for a league title, you don't want to hear this. If we go and win the next 10 games, and, you know, Liverpool and City have 5 wins, 5 draws, or something not as good as that, the conversation changes. I said it in August, a week is a long time in football. Think about all of the different talking points we've had as Arsenal fans, and you if you support other clubs, and what we've said about other teams and other players. And again, technically, we're not even at the halfway stage now. My maths isn't the best. Kai even played 2 games up top. Man's forcing everything but doing striker training. Kai does 0 striker training. I think that's harsh. I think Kai's movement's good. I think he drops into midfield. I think he's doing all he can in that false 9 role, but he's an evident player with limitations that should not be a consistent starter. So when I see someone playing to their full capabilities, I have to get at the management, really and truly. It's like if Reece Nelson plays 10 games for Arsenal Football Club, I don't necessarily think he'd be bad. You're just not levels. And I think Kai typically is a lot better than other players, man. It's just we're shooting ourselves. Yeah, we need a 10-game unbeaten run. That's assuming we've even got the mannerisms to do that. Yes, I agree with that comment. It's better than what we signed him for, but I would have never signed him in the first place. And that's what I said. I've said, take nothing away from Kai and what he's done. And I do think it's been a good signing. If that 65 million goes on a Gyökeres, goes on a Isak, well, it don't get you Isak, but you get the point. If it goes on a Bagsman, then maybe we're having different conversations. But for me, whether it's Kai Havertz, whether it's whoever up front, we need to start creating. You know, I'm pretty sure if I go look on Arsenal on the Premier League stats right now, I guarantee I'm not going to see an Arsenal striker up there for big chances missed. Pretty sure I'll see Haaland there, probably even Salah, and I'm not even criticizing them. That's where you need to have your strikers. It's like we can't defend and we're not on scoring goals. Isak is my dream signing. That would win us a major. He can create his own chances plus assist others. I mean, he's got the stardust and the difference, but I'd be very careful of assuming a player can win something for a club by themselves in a 38-game calendar. Obviously, Van Persie was the difference when Man United won the league, but he weren't alone. There was X amount of players doing what they're doing. Salah and the Trents and the Manes and Van Dijk, to a degree, they'll be the poster boys if Liverpool win something as they have before. But over a 38-game calendar, they're not alone. You need your whole squad. There might be an attacking player that only scores 3 goals for us, but those 3 goals across a Premier League campaign, but those 3 goals could have been games where we've snatched 9 points, which ultimately makes the difference. This season, the theme should have been fine margins. What better way to look to think that than to look at last year, where we were 2 points off the winning the league, and we had several chances. Ironically, Stamford Bridge last season, North London derby, the first one at the Emirates. the Aston Villa home and away games, the Fulham home and away games, and the list goes on. West Ham at home, where we created a billion chances and couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. You see, if we was like that in an attacking third, then I would entertain. We still need a striker regardless, but then I would entertain certain comments. Also, to comment on Havertz, are we really expecting him to play in every single game in the Champs and the Premier? You're going to have to, really, essentially. Is that would be out wide wasted again. Listen, Mikel has had a 5-year run. How many chances does he need? I'm just counting down him to leave. He ain't that guy. People feel like giving up early is easier than giving hope till the wheels fall off. I'm not pessimistic on, well, I'm not optimistic, sorry, on us winning the league. I'm not really for this giving up. I don't think, I'm just on this. It's not me. Just keep going, innit? Like, I'm not on this woe is me giving up thing. We just need to keep going. It's as simple as that. Go and win games. Try salvage what you can salvage, but we can't ignore the same talking points, man. Certain refs getting drawn out on the gigahertz. Yeah, Mr. David Coote's moving mad. Fans need to support the team until the last day of the season. Why do people write off before the end? Which is true, but at the same time, how the players are playing dictates where the fans are going to be, because some Arsenal fans have been very bullish, and I'm not saying you, but one thing I hate here is when it's all going well for the football club. Let's be honest, there's some weird Arsenal fans. There's, negative nannies, people that really and truly should start only fans with the amount of times they suck off anything Mikel Arteta does. If we won these 4 games and people are saying bring on Madrid and all of this, nobody's telling them to calm down. And it does feel like, generally, I'm not saying you, Pestel, but it feels like there's an inability to talk about what's going wrong at this moment in time, whether you are providing balance or not. And that's what annoys me, because you can't have honest dialogue about this football club. I knew Moreno had that press resistance in his bag. Saw that a few times when I was Zubi scouting at Sociedad last season. I've got no worries about Moreno. But again, I think Moreno's a squad player. You can do a thing. You can get rotated. I don't think you're the level raiser. And again, at what point do I stop blaming the tools and blame the person with the credit card? It's crazy that when City slightly fall off and the team to take advantage is Liverpool, not us, this club, DG. Boy, this is what happens. There's been completely, for what it's worth, I think Mikel Arteta and the players, they all want to win. They want to win and all of that. But I can't sit here and lie and say the players, the manager, the recruitment staff, there has to have been an air of complacency or naivety in where we face ourselves now, man. We support the players, not Mikel. That guy's going to waste a good batch of players. It's already hard enough to get good players. To be fair, I'll support everybody, man. Our next 6 games are very winnable. They probably will. But as we've seen already, football, Nobby, as you know yourself, football isn't one on paper. And so far this season, it's been the games generally that should be a walk in the park where we've kind of struggled. The one thing we've still got going for us is against the top 6. And that's why I really, 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 really wish we beat Liverpool. We beat City. We held on against Chelsea, man. What was the last 1v1 player what was the last 1v1 an Arsenal player had? To be fair, you don't see them too much across 90 minutes, but it's not on a consistent basis. If we finish 8th this season, would you be Arteta out? I'd probably give him 1 more year, bro. If you finish 8th, you have to go, bro. Like, what? Forget about that. If Mikel Arteta, God forbid, Arsenal finish 8th, you've got to leave. Don't care what you've done to this point. Pat on the back, one love for the rebuild. Don't know where we move from that. If you finish 8th, bro, if you finish 6th, if you finish 5th, arguably, I'm not saying it's necessarily me, but if you finish anything from that's not 1st or 2nd, you might have to leave. 8th, you got to go. There's no one. This is the Arsenal FC. It's not Arteta FC. Pressure's a privilege, really and truly. We've seen better managers get sacked for less. Bro, Nottingham Forest is a difficult, very, very difficult game. A domestic double, 2nd in the league, and semi-final KO in the champs. You'd be happy with that. I can't say happy. I mean, obviously, he isn't going to be happy with the trophies. I guess it's respectable to finish 2nd and be in the semis. We've still not done what we've set out to do, really. Yeah, we got the FA Cup and the League Cup. And as a 29-year-old Arsenal fan, being a 29-year-old Arsenal fan, I haven't seen us win the League Cup in it. So, or not that I can remember. So that's tired. The FA Cup, I'll always love that. But is that what we did everything for? It don't make sense. Being somewhere before is called experience, not disparity. I mean, you've got to learn from experience. What best experience is to learn than yourself, than what you've been through? We've been burnt many times. Some of it hasn't been our issues. Some of it has been. We engineer a lot of our issues. A lot of what we're facing, I believe, in even in terms of midfield and creativity, is because of Mikel Arteta's tactics, and is because of what we have or haven't done in the transfer market. There's been a couple of times this season where I've sat there and said to you, look, you sign up for certain things. We should be riding the wave till it's done. I mean, support doesn't just mean buzzwords. I'm not saying you're saying this, but support doesn't just mean buzzwords and, win through harmony and all that crap. You can support your team, but what you can do is be critical. I don't blindlessly support anyone. Like, I'm not a fan of anyone that's given up already, but I can't blame them if they're not. And, if the people are, the most positive in relation to Arsenal, I'm not really like that at this moment in time, but I can't get you. The reality is, until there's 38 games played and however far we go in all the cups, you just got to keep going. Like, there's a million, there's reasons to be optimistic. There's reasons to be positive. I try and judge my life, and the way I support Arsenal as well is, when there's every reason to be, when things are going well, never think you're as good as you are and still think about caution. When things are going bad, just think of the one reason as to why it could turn. Boy, big up DG, got a run to make a movie review video for my own channel. Shout out yourself, man. Make sure you're following. Questions need asking. Questions should always be asked, man. I forgot the high you get when we won a major. Desperately need that again. I mean, this is what we're here. Obviously, Mikel Arteta, since you won the FA Cup and the English Super Cup, League Cup, you haven't really won anything. For a manager that ain't got nothing in the cabinet, for a team that wants to develop a winning mentality, of course, the more trophies you win, the better. But it was all about either the big ears or the big one in England. We're getting back into those Wenger conversations. Now, obviously, if you salvage a season, but we're getting past that, man. And obviously, if I share my screen with you, obviously, the last 4 games have not been kind to us. Chelsea won, Arsenal won, Newcastle beat us 1-0. We drew 2-2 with Liverpool. And feels like such a long time ago. Probably the worst performance of the lot, where we lost 2-0 to Bournemouth with Areola. Every point matters in this league. As we know, last season was fine margins. This year's being fine margins. For a team that was heralded as one of the best defensive teams in the league / the world last year, hasn't exactly been kind to us. Arsenal failed to keep a clean sheet in their last 7 Premier League matches. Failed to do that against Chelsea, Newcastle, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Southampton, Leicester City, Manchester City. We did keep one against Spurs, though, people. Mikel Arteta said, I'm fully confident we're going to have a great season. I hope that this is just a blank period and we look back and say, boy, what was going on there? I can't see it at this moment, though. Mikel Arteta seems to agree with me with the defending. He said on Neto's goal, he said it was just on the suggestion that it was just a moment of high quality. No, we are disorganized in our standards. It's not good enough, which generally I agree, Gaffer. It's probably on brand with what we've been doing this season. Mikel Arteta has also spoken as well, people, and said there's nothing that we can do about that in relation to injuries. What I'm praying is that after the international break, we have the team fully physically equipped. I hope so. Tomiyasu, Calafiori, Benjamin White's carrying a knock, Rice and Saka now. I hope so. But are you ever going to have ideal conditions? Not a clue, people. It's something above my head. That they are available, that they are fit, because it's been a nightmare for 8 weeks, doubt after doubt, issue after issue, not only with the ones that are not able to play, but with the ones who are able to play only for certain moments and not able to play. Fair enough. So I'm just asking that because the desire the team has and how much we want it, there's no question. It's going to come. We just need that on our side to be more consistent. When it gets nasty, show your teeth and show how much you want it. Amen. When it's Disneyland, it's very easy. Everybody's next to you telling you how beautiful you are. He therefore watches my live streams. Do I not always mention that Disneyland thing, people? So yeah, he's right. Now's the time to stand up. Obviously, whether I think Arteta's engineered his own issues or the players, I do think there should be healthy criticisms in the same way. If we was flying top of the league, running away with it, can't begrudge getting praise, but we need to get on with it. Like, the past brings regret, the future brings uncertainty. There's no time like living in the current present moment of trying to change your life. So try and salvage something, because what's the alternative? Feeling sorry for ourselves. When things are bad, they can get a lot worse. So we need to get on with it. We need to get on with it. And at the end of the day, boy, we sit fourth, ironically level on points, separated via goal difference with Chelsea. Manchester City are ahead of us, and then you've got Liverpool. So you never know, really, but we've shot ourselves in the foot, man. We've shot ourselves in the foot. You can only do so much in the transfer window, though. What other teams went out and bought strikers? I hear that, and you are right. But at the end of the day, I only care about Arsenal Football Club. Chelsea didn't sign a striker, but you look at all of the depth they've got. United needed a striker. They didn't go and do it, really. Spurs went and spent 65 million on a striker, which isn't quite cutting it, and they've got their own issues. That's irrelevant to us. We needed to go and get that. Did we do everything we needed to? I agree with you about you can't do everything in the window, but did we do everything we needed to? Did we do anything close? Did we do anything to make the difference? No, we didn't. We brought in some great players, some good squad players. You can't sign Raheem Sterling and tell me you've done enough. You can't sign Neto after scrambling for Garcia and tell me you've done enough. You can't bid for Sesko and it's not happened and tell me you've done enough. Moreno, great signing. Calafiori, good player. Who else did we get? Technically, David Raya, permanent, right? Or am I wrong about that? There's therefore someone I'm missing out. We can't use that because we've known for a while, the last 2 years, excluding this year, you know you need a forward. You know you need backup for Saka and Martinelli. You know you need to address the middle of the park. The only area we looked well stocked in, let's be very honest, going into the season, was defensively. And that's being tested. Really, we've seen Gabriel miss a game. I'm sure Saliba obviously got suspended. Benjamin White has been struggling. You know, Zinni, not that anyone's going to play him, has had his own issues. Tomiyasu in injuries. You know, it's like bun and cheese, really and truly. So we can't really cop out. I think that's a cop out. It's a cop out. It's all about fine margins, really. The only striker I see that didn't make sense was Osimhen. I understand not going for Osimhen, if I'm honest with you. Look at his wages, how many times he's hit 20 goals. I can understand it really and truly. But with what he's doing at Gala, we could do with it. But again, I'd maintain this at this moment in time, whether we had Sesko, Osimhen, whatever striker, if they was up front right now, they would struggle. They might score a couple more goals than Havertz has done at this point with individual brilliance. But you can't look at the Arsenal team and we're creating chances and you just sit there and say you signed a clinical bags man. And I think a lot of the creative issues is how Mikel Arteta is, you know, implementing what he's implementing in midfield. But it's also because of it's genuinely because of the personnel. The only time we've looked yesterday as well, actually, away from the goal. In fact, Odegaard's assist is across. We look like we might score when Moreno came on. He's running in behind. Sterling is just a loan, so I don't see him as an Arsenal signing. I mean, he's literally signed a contract, signed for the football club on loan, really and truly. Gyökeres might not have wanted to leave, but make things happen. How many players have not been for sale that have been sold? And again, I can't tell you who's available, but that's not my job or your job. These lot know where the positions you need to act and answer for. You lot have all the scouting, you have all the tactical things available. Go and get things done. You tried to buy Sesko, you didn't. And the club's not naive. Yes, at times, if they're not going to go for one player, then they won't sign anyone. But you imagine we really walked into this market and Sesko was the only striker they're looking at. This sounds like excuses. This sounds like cop-outs. If there's always a reason for failure, in life, they say winners win and losers explain. There's a lot of explaining being done. As I said, people, all we can do on brand is get with it. We've got Nottingham Forest, which is definitely not a walk in the park. Our last 2 trips to Portugal haven't been good. Hopefully, third time lucky against Sporting Lisbon. We then play West Ham away. Ruben Amorim on the brand with Portuguese players and Portuguese managers. We've got United. Boy. So even, you know, what does a run of 10 games or 5-10 games look like? Let's exclude the champs for a second. Just focus on the Prem. You know, you got Forest, you got West Ham away, you got United at home. You're going to need to turn up Fulham away, Smith Rowe and that. You got Fulham, you've got Everton, you've got Palace. Sorry, you've got Palace because one's in the cup. You've got Ipswich, which you saw what they did in North London. Brentford, Brighton and the North London derby, and then Villa. January's not the kindest, is it? Gonna have to get on with it. Mikel Arteta has spoken about Saka and Declan Rice, people, and said it doesn't look good for 2 players of that importance to tell you they cannot continue in the game. Obviously, it's not good news. 2 players that just came off. I don't expect him to be fit because they are and they don't come off. Big up Rice, man. You played with a broken toe. Saka, I'm pretty sure I've never had a conversation with you, but I wish I could and ask you, when was the last time you genuinely felt fully fit? No injuries, no kicks, no niggles, no nothing. Probably the time he made his debut, probably the seasons he was playing left back, really and truly. So yeah, he doesn't expect them to be there. Apparently Martin Odegaard is going to be joining up with Norway. It's unclear if he's going to be named in the playing squad or if he's just traveling to offer support. He better be offering support. Like, this international break scares me. I think Partey's not been called up for Ghana. And again, I don't wish injuries on anyone, but if you told me at the start of the season we'd have this amount of injuries and Partey wouldn't be one of them, I tell you it's a bit mad. I don't know any other player in the league that is capable of doing that after 6 weeks. He had a day and a half to train. To be able to do it physically, mentally, and be connected the way he was with the team is unbelievable. Big up the captain for that. I haven't spoken to the player yet about playing for Norway. I'll speak to him and then I can tell you what I prefer. Fair play. Fair play. Arteta said we were unlucky. We have dominated one of the best teams in Europe, but we don't get the results. That's what's missing. I'll be honest, it sounds like Postecoglou, and you are right. But it's about getting over the line. Of course, you know, I do think people are very lazy in their analysis of football games in that, you know, the narrative is dictated by the result. If we, you know, if a team has 20 shots, we only have 1, we win 1-0. Nobody cares about the narrative, you know, but You can say against Inter and against Chelsea, I do think we competed. But again, it's about getting over the line. It's about getting that W. That's ultimately what wins trophies, really. How many, and it's exaggeration, but how many times has Real Madrid been outclassed for the majority of 90 minutes when they've won the Champions League? But there's the moments. I do think we've been unlucky, but you could argue you make your own luck by defending well, by creating real chances. So the woe is me thing isn't going to really wash it at this moment in time. Mikel Arteta also said we're going to be judged on results going into the game, going into the Chelsea game. Focusing on this paragraph, at the end, we're going to be judged by results, and we should be. And yeah, we did well. That's the only paragraph that matters, people. That's the only thing that matters. There might not be a high quality amount of strikers, but again, you've got scouts, you've got analytical departments, you've got people who know more about football than us, that know that there's an area that needs to be identified and been for in the last few years. Go and make it happen. Gyökeres had to come from somewhere, Seska had to come from somewhere, Isak had to come from somewhere. Half of these strikers that everybody's waffling and rambling about had to come from somewhere. Again, you get results or you make excuses. Which one are we gonna sit here forever and say that? Cool, you didn't get a striker. Where's the winger? Because I think many people would have said, all right, ideally we want a striker and a winger. Where's the winger? Are you telling me there's not a level of, we really exhausted all of our options that you had to sign Raheem Sterling, who was ineligible for yesterday? Because cool, I want a striker and a winger, but I always give the Liverpool example. If Kai Havertz could be our Firmino, Saka is our Salah, what's going on the left-hand side? We want results, want to get over the line, or we want to make excuses and always cop out. And for what it's worth, you're not necessarily wrong. All of that is right. But these lot are paid a lot of money to make these things happen or find solutions. Have we done either? Boy. And at the start of the season, Mikel Arteta was bullish about his players. He said the Arsenal players want it this season in the title race. We're going to do it. Again, let's see all of that. All the players were saying to me, we're going to be better. We're going to do it. We want more. Let's see that. Let's see that. Because now you're going to have to show resilience that you haven't had to show in an Arsenal shirt for a while. We spoke about results here. If you go back to 2021, the comments we just read are almost reminiscent of this, people. Mikel Arteta said the only tangible thing is results. Whether you're doing a good job or not, externally, you're only going to be judged by results, which is true. I don't think it's all doom and gloom, but ultimately we are at that stage as a football club now. One love for the rebuild. It's about results. Results being getting over the line. Internally, you know what you're doing, and you can have many different things to judge. But in the end, results are the only thing externally to have the perception that we are moving in the right direction. And ultimately, that extends to the fans as well, people. It's a shame Pedro Neto scored, didn't it? Like a player that we probably should have bought. We've conceded as many goals as Man United this season with 12 now. Different contexts, but data is data. That's not really good. We're still unbeaten versus the top six or big six since the start of last season, people. 7 wins, 7 draws, 0 losses. So again, we shot ourselves in the foot in a number of those big games, but it seems to be the other games that are an issues. Odegaard created 4 chances versus Chelsea, twice as any other player on the pitch. So we have no solution when Odegaard's there. And again, there should be other facilitators to some degree, man. Accurate crosses, we only had 2. Pedro Neto had 3. So if we're not playing that free-flowing football we like, and we're crossing, the crossing isn't exactly working, how are we planning to score goals? Throw in the fact that we've conceded a lot. It's not making sense. Kai Havertz, again, offside 4 times, had 1 touch in the box. You can get at Kai Havertz. You can think he's not the guy and whatnot. And I'm not saying he's the guy, but he's a service-reliant striker. He's very rarely going to make his own goals on a consistent basis. Why has he had 1 touch in the box and 0 shots? The one thing that was made for him, obviously VAR disallowed it. So we're not helping our players, if I'm honest with you. Saka as well. Again, Saka, like Havertz, everyone's got to take individual responsibility. But I think a lot of why Kai and Saka were unable to do anything yesterday, and this seems to be the case, is the midfield and the passing lanes. Big up Saliba, man. This season, 25 tackles, hasn't been dribble passes. Now I understand why Liverpool fans were waffling about this when it was Van Dijk. Only Cole Palmer and Salah have more Premier League assists from open play than Odegaard in 2024, and we all are glad to have him back. When did he actually come off injured? When did he last play? I feel like I haven't seen you all year, man. Martinelli has now scored the same amount of Premier League goals for Arsenal as says Fabregas. Can't take too much stock in that. That is Martinelli's 3rd goal of the season. Hopefully a step in the right direction. The ITKs of this world are saying Saka and Rice are set to withdraw from international duty. Mikel Arteta told Sky Sports, I think we dominated them. We were the better team in many phases and situations in the game. And after going ahead, very disappointed in the way we conceded. It was so poor. It's not our standards and we don't accept. Were we really the better team? I think it was a mixed bag. I think Chelsea had a couple of clear-cut chances. They probably wanted to score. Us the same. Both teams could have done better for the goals conceded. I think it was about even, if I'm honest with you. I don't think we dominated them, and I don't think the statistics show that. I did think towards the dying embers of this second half, apologies, that we'd nick it, but ultimately we didn't. He then said, really, really proud. But at the end, we are there to get 3 points, and we didn't. It's a second phase set piece, and we were disorganized. We didn't reorganize quick enough. You can't allow that pass that way. You need the quality of Neto to do it, but our standards were not good enough. They're all disappointed as a team. I'm very proud of the team with how they reacted. We wanted the 3 points, and we didn't get them. The only thing that matters is we didn't get them. I have to be harsher this season, really. You know, if this was under sevens, it is still a young team, but if this was 2022, 23, I could accept this stuff. You've been in this scenario as well. Of course, setbacks happen, but there's no excuses now. The last few weeks, we're saying the same things. It's not making sense, people. We've gone over what Mikel Arteta said on Odegaard and on the result, on dropping points from winning positions, which, again, is out of context, and I'm very harsh, but you've done that against Brighton. Again, I'm being very harsh. Nothing is more harsh than this league, 20-plus years goal drought. Title drought, missed out on the league by 2 points. As somebody said, the one time City are effing up, we are not able to take advantage. There's nothing I can say that is harsher than what these players or Arteta is saying to themselves and collectively. The league's harsh. Life is harsh. If you don't want to do this kumbaya thing, hugs and kisses, you're not going to win nothing. You're not going to achieve nothing in life. There's a nastiness that needs to get over the line. You need to be a beast. And right now, we're not doing that. We're not even a tamed animal. We're a wounded animal feeling sorry for ourselves. We need to bring that aggression out. Smash the like button if you haven't. There's nothing we can change today about that. We've already gone through that as well, technically. He said it was a step in the right direction. Arteta said he doesn't expect Declan Rice and Saka to go off on international duty. So, yeah, on finding the formula to score goals, well, we don't put the chances away. And some other times we haven't had that domination inside the box to make it happen. We are just hoping it's going to happen, which is something that's very different in football. Certainly, the team is in the right direction. That team doesn't do that because I haven't seen any team against Inter do what we've done here today. So we have to transform it into winning matches. Fair enough, man. But the narratives. Raya has said we deserve to win at Chelsea. Raya, you're my guy. I disagree because we would have scored some goals and defended a lot better by the manager's own admission. I don't think we did. I think sometimes you win games you don't deserve to. I think sometimes you lose when you don't deserve to. And I think a lot of the time in the Premier League, you get what you deserve. And I think a draw is on brand. I'll be real. We have to count our blessings that Gusto never scored a header and Chelsea didn't get another one. We also have to thank ourselves for getting our goal and obviously, slap ourselves in the head for not getting a second, really. Because I would still say the same things if Moreno or Trossard scored. We would have got away with it. A bit like what we did against Southampton and Leicester. Of course, Raya said, I think we deserved more. I think we really showed good character, especially from the start of the game, going for that win. We created the chances. We had that goal disallowed and we scored. The character of the team to come to a difficult place, especially with the form that Chelsea are in, and showing what we showed is really important and remarkable from the players. Of course, we're going to be disappointed, but sometimes when you cannot win, make sure you don't lose. I agree with that. And that's what happened today. I think when we conceded the goal, we went for the win. Fair enough. Towards the end, we did. We tried to push ourselves to score. We created the chances. We pushed them back. We got the ball off them. And it's because of the character of the players. Boy, and he obviously bigged up Martin Wondergaard as well, as we all are, man. That was probably, if there is anything close to a positive, it would be Martin Odegaard, really. And apparently he could be going off with Norway. Apparently the national team boss of Norway said, we'll see how it turns out. The ankle, the medics and Martin decide this. Listen, I can't begrudge a player for wanting to represent their country. But Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, and maybe a few of others, you need to be sensible now. That's all I'll say on that. You need to be sensible. Anyone having Christopher Nkunku from Chelsea? Apparently, Manchester United have inquired about the Chelsea forward. He's not happy at not starting for Chelsea. I don't think he can have issues right now because Chelsea are picking up results. I'm not sure Enzo Fernandez is happy to be on the bench, but they look a lot more balanced with Caicedo and Lavia. But if that persists, maybe. I mean, he is a French striker. Manchester City are planning a 50.3 million January swoop for Martin Zubimendi 6 months after he rejected Liverpool. Anyone trying to throw our hat into that ring? Arsenal have made an approach for Osman Diomande, although Chelsea and Bayern are also interested in a sporting defender. I must admit, I do think we need another centre half. Apparently, Ruben Amorim will not make any approach for any sporting players in January, leaving Manchester City, Arsenal, and PSG with the opportunity to sign Gyökeres. We signed it. I mean, he's got a release clause of 100 million, which equates to about 85 million quid. So you could sign him, but anyone really think we're going to act in January? You could argue that January is a long time away, definitely in a footballing perspective. We just touched November, but can I be forgiven, people, for thinking, you know what, maybe January we need to dip into the market if possible for a striker, for a winger, for a central midfielder, or all of the three or one of the three to give us a boost. Maybe I'm very naive in that. 1 minute Sesko's available for 55 million. This is saying that Benjamin Sesko has a gentleman's agreement with Leipzig that he'll be able to leave in the summer if a bid comes in between 70 and 75 million euros. So what's that? 58, 60, 63 odd million quid. It keeps changing, man. But I would say in business, gentleman's agreement don't go far, people. So yeah, I did hear about that referee doing a bit too much, and rightly so, as he should be. Arsenal apparently considering a move for 20-year-old midfielder Nico Paz, who has 4 assists and 1 goal in 11 games for Como this season. I'm sure Real Madrid have a buyback clause. I'm sure he's been recently put into the Argentine squad, very high technical level, and he is currently working with, ironically, Cesc Fabregas. So I have to see. Arsenal working on deal to sign superstar in January. Yeah, right. Arsenal working on a deal to sign a superstar winger in the January transfer window to bolster their title challenge. Who said that? A former Manchester United, Spurs and West Ham senior scout, Mick Brown. Now, I'm sure you've got contacts all over the world, but yeah, I'm not sure. Apparently, Arteta isn't happy with the makeup of the team in that position. Who made it up? There's been question marks about Sterling, Martinelli and Jesus, 2 of the 3 you brought in. Martinelli over time hasn't managed to nail down that position. Yeah, he has. He's been starting. He just hasn't kicked on as a footballer. He's been starting there recently, but whether he's good enough to start there every week for a title challenging team is up for debate. On current form, he's not. In terms of current decision making, Martinelli's not. You're good enough to be a rotationary option, but yeah, you can't be a starter. You're not doing. Obviously, I think Saka's better than you, but your decision making should at least be somewhat on par with Bukayo Saka. They're all viewed as squad players, and from what I'm told, Arsenal want to improve in that position in the transfer market. The recruitment and scouting team have already been looking at players. They will know what they need to bridge the gap to win the league. We heard this in the summer. We heard this last summer. Evra's right. Like, it always feels like next summer. It's always next season. A real superstar game changer is what they're looking for. Someone who will come in and make a difference in their attack. We heard that as soon as we went out of the Champions League to Bayern Munich, and no doubt we'll hear that again. Fair enough, though. We've been linked with another striker, though. Arsenal continue to show an interest in Sporting Lisbon striker Victor Gyökeres, but I've also identified in-form Atalanta forward Matteo Retugi, forgive me for mispronunciation, as an alternative. Sources close to the situation have informed court offside that Retugi is emerging as something of a plan B for the Gunners as they look to strengthen up front, with a deal possibly there to be done if Atalanta receive at least 50 million euros for the Italy international. Apparently, he's been in impressive form and has an impressive record of 11 goals in 12 Serie A games this season. He's throwing 3 assists and he's doing his thing. Fair play. At least another striker. Who's this wonder kid we're looking at? I'm doing a video on this guy. If I know this is a rumor, I shouldn't get excited. But Bubardi, the Leal midfielder, who's I'm sure you've played 2 big Champions League games. Bring that. He's 17. We'll have to take time with him, but bring that to the carpet immediately. See, they're trying to extend this contract, so there you have it. There'll be a video out, people, on such. No, bro, chill about what? I'm not a bit confused there, but yeah, nonetheless. Apparently, Reece Nelson explores Bundesliga move amid Arsenal frustration. Football Transfers understands that Reece Nelson is frustrated with his current situation and is looking to secure a permanent move in 2025. We all know he's on loan at Fulham at this moment in time. Been a bit of a bit part player there. People did start against Brentford. Is getting more football than he would have in an Arsenal shirt. Wish we kept Smith Rowe. According to sources, Nelson has reached out to Arsenal manager Arteta, expressing his desire for a permanent transfer to a club where he can truly establish himself following his loan at Fulham. Fair enough, man. I mean, if Fulham keep you permanently, great, but you do need to go somewhere you're going to set up shop and do what you're doing. You did not tell me about him, but I hear that FM Demon, that kid. We hear that in Germany in particular tops the winger's list of possible destinations as he makes concerted efforts to get his career back on track. Reps of Nelson have already made contact with several Bundesliga clubs who can reveal 2 sides known to have been approached by the players' camp are Leverkusen, which you'd have Xhaka and currently Xabi Alonso. If you're keen to go back to the Bundesliga, go do your thing, Nelson. You probably don't have a future at the club. We've gone over that already. Apparently, Arsenal have seen an opening bid of 55 million euros for Jean Duran turned down by Aston Villa, according to reports in Colombia. I don't think any of us believed that. Again, I'm with Theo Walcott. We probably should have signed Pedro Neto, but we didn't. We've entered the race to sign Ademola Lookman. It feels like everything's going full circle, people. He was linked with him before, doing quite well at Atalanta. Apparently, at 27 years of age, he wants to take the step up to a bigger club, with the greatest of respect to Atalanta. Victor Osimhen has squashed rumours that he'll leave Galatasaray in January. Apparently, we've made an approach for Sporting's Osman Diomande and are very serious about signing the defender. There's a lot of talk about Gyökeres. That is the one that United need to go and get, in my opinion. Once again, we've heard Sesko's got a gentleman's agreement. Some reports say 55 million. This goes as high as to 70, 75. Really and truly, do we believe this? Allegedly, Arsenal head coach Mikel Arteta has reportedly been left unhappy with the performance levels of Raheem Sterling in training, which is not good for Sterling as you're at a crossroads of your own. Completely irrelevant, but apparently Robbie Williams is to play at the Emirates Stadium if that's what you lot want to see. And, while I'm disappointed not to win, it could have been worse. We could have lost. Spurs lost, really and truly, which is great. And like the Ipswich Twitter says here, it's much easier to get a Amari Hutchinson shirt by going on the online store. Big up Amari Hutchinson and Ipswich on that one. I'm missing Emil Smith Rowe. I don't want to be that guy. I think he needed to go. I don't think you would have seen the real Smith Rowe. I don't think you would have been starting games, but I didn't want you to go. And I did say in the summer, I want you to play in the form so that I can sit here on the 24-year-old and say, should we have let him go? With Odegaard's injury, could he have got games? Could he have played off that left-hand side where Martinelli's been a bit inconsistent? I have to be the guy to play devil's advocate, man. And Marco Silva's bigged him up. He said, sometimes the most expensive ones are the players that don't perform. When you saw him and we had a small chance to fight to have him here, I told our board that we need to fight with everything we can because we needed a player like him. Creative in those pocket areas, a player who will score more throughout the season. I don't have doubts. He's a lovely kid, a lovely boy. He's going to become a man and improve. He's already a really good player. He's going to be a top player. So it's nice to have a talent like him. And obviously, Mikel Arteta did say he was sad to see him go, but you can't have been that sad or you would have used the guy, but sometimes there needs to be a divorce for everybody to get to where they need to get to. Theo Walcott's also said we should have went for Isak, which would have been amazing, people. Clubs from England, Europe, Saudi Arabia, and the MLS are all apparently looking at Paul Pogba. We surely are not one of those clubs in England. Again, would you lot take Christopher Nkunku? I'm not sure. With that being said as well, people don't forget, if you care about it from a tactical point of view, I did do a tactical analysis of the Arsenal versus Chelsea with some interesting talking points. And I will have a fan show at 6 p.m. So in just over an hour. That seems to be all the headlines that we've ran through, people. What are you lot saying? Man said Nelson went to Munich for 55 million in my FM save. That would have been amazing. Fabregas, do us a deal for Nico Paz. Man, you owe us a favor. I hear it. We need 2 quality strikers. Probably need one of alarming great quality, and then you could have us there. Gyökeres has a buyout clause. It ain't up to him. Pay the money he's ours. He can still reject the move, though. Doesn't have to agree personal terms. But you are right. Put the money down. Very different conversations. Dual monsters and no line breakers. Our domination is only dictated by possession. We have possession, but it's what we do with it. There you have it. I think we controlled the game better, but Chelsea had the better chances. I hear you, but then I disagree because I watched the game again and I look at the couple from Trossard, even one with Martinelli, if I'm harsh, and I'm not getting at Moreno because we actually looked quite decent when Moreno came on and was running in behind, but I think we had a couple of chances that on another day they go in. I reckon we did. I think both teams should count their blessings that they got a point, and both teams should really slap themselves for not scoring and the way that they conceded. Even the way we scored from an Arsenal perspective, it was nice because we made something out of nothing, but totally avoidable from a Chelsea perspective. It's not about the high quality strikers from the 2000s. It's about getting the players for the time we're in. We didn't get Torres, Suarez, Lewandowski, Villa, Benzema, Kane. We had Robin van Persie, Aubameyang, Adebayo, Lacazette, and sold them. Do we want excuses or do we want to get somewhere? Why are we not talking about our sporting director leaving mid-season? What's happening in the boardroom? Boy, I don't know, really and truly. I've spoken about it, but I mean, anyone can leave at any time. I'm exaggerating, but if Real Madrid were to ask for Mikel Arteta right now and he can't, I don't think anyone could begrudge him. Edu was simply put, probably reckoned his work's done, wanted to make the step up, was offered something he couldn't refuse, kept it moving. Mikel's in his Ten Hag era of comments. To be fair, I think he was on brand at the moment at this time, but I think these last 4 games I've been really unimpressed with what I've seen from Arteta as well as the players. It's crazy that I have low confidence in going against some of those teams. Henry said in his whole career, he only felt 100%, he only felt 100% a handful of times. Gonna have to get on with it. Before City brought Haaland, the only striker that the world were comparing him with was Vlahovic. I don't know about that. I can't co-sign that, but fair enough. Fair, if we can't sign a striker, you could definitely sign a winger. Either way, we can't there can't be no cop-outs for Arsenal. There's therefore many a thing you could have done before you got Raheem Sterling on loan. Let's not beat around the bush. Raheem Sterling screams panic. Let's get something better than nothing and someone that is available. Fair enough if you tried for Nico Williams, etc. I think the boys tried to win yesterday. I think they tried to win against Newcastle. I think they tried to win against Inter. I think they tried to win against Bournemouth. I think they tried to win the league last year. Let's see where I'm going with it. If you lot try at your workplace and don't get the job done, you lot are not paying your bills. You're on the street. Moreno is definitely a squad player since Jorginho and Partey leave at the end of the season. I'm not happy with how some Arsenal fans have treated Mikel Moreno, but he's not the first player that's been written off before they've really had a chance. Our very captain. The only signing that made sense with Calafiori, as Zinni is getting phased out and Kivy ain't right. To be fair, Moreno and Calafiori, I think they were good, but I just think we didn't sign any level raisers. Like there was nothing we did in the summer that made me think, oh, okay, we're going up a level. Can you pinpoint why we turned it around in the second half of last season? I also think the Prem teams just get better this season. Everyone gets it better. I have to say Dubai, really and truly. I think last season was more of a mental block. I think we went to Dubai, we kind of, because we're still playing the same way. Like those players that were missing those chances, they started putting it at home. I think it was just a chance to reset and whatever, and we went again, really. Whether we're able to do that this year is another thing. But this year, I think it's quite different because I think there's so much that Arteta needs to address. To be fair, there was a chance creation issue last season, but I don't think it was to this extent, man. This is crazy. I'll be real. This is crazy. Very, very crazy. Nottingham Forest is super hard work. It's cliche, but as you all know, every game is difficult in the Premier League. Arteta, is time to go. Hopefully he can prove everyone wrong. Did you see the news about the legal battle against FIFA for less games? Is it going to go to the court of arbitration for sport? If they don't go there, it's not going to go far, man. Should have gone for Osimhen. I don't know why he moved to Turkey. Probably, but then nobody, Chelsea, who got more money than sense, didn't go for him. We never went for him. There had to have been something dodgy. I think Osimhen's a good player. I think fans overrate him. I just feel when you look at the fee Napoli were asking for, the wages, probably his the agent fee. How, he's not injured at the moment, but you look at his injury record. You look at how many times he's actually hit 20 plus goals. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to kill the club for not doing that. At Forest, if Edu starts closing transfers and getting players, how heated will man get? But hey, you can't get stressed over variables you can't control. To be fair, that Marmoush guy is doing quite well at Frankfurt. And half these strikers start somewhere. As I said, for me, I would allow the striker thing to a degree. There's no excuse not to have another wide option that we genuinely believe in. Like even some Arsenal fans, I'm not a fan of, Trossard being scapegoat number one. Of course, wasn't smiling against Villa. Obviously got sent off against City. Missed the penalty, was it against Shakhtar? You can't even say Trossard cost us, because take away those mistakes. Did we do enough over 90 minutes? But for want of better phrases, he kind of cost us. But this is the player that a lot of fans were sucking off and saying he deserves to start, etc. So I think it's more than anything, yeah. What I'm not going to do is do this kumbaya thing and pretend everything's gravy and just sit there and bury my head in the sand and just say we'll be okay. There's plenty of reasons to believe we'll get out of this. There's plenty of reasons to be optimistic. But I do think we need fair and healthy dialogue and praise and criticism and all of that. But there needs to be togetherness more than ever. Like Arteta said, it's not Disneyland now. It's put up or shut up. Everybody's got to just shut the fuck up, pardon my language, and get on with it and try and be better. No feeling sorry for ourselves. That's not how titles or anything's won. Shout out to Odegaard, 90-minute performance after not match fit. He put in a shift, worrying we have no cover or backup if he's out though. January window is hard to find quality for good value, but the squad and the fans need a boost. Hope the club surprise us. I hear that. You kept expectations low on Trossard, to be fair. I told you, look, Trossard's a squad player. You lot were doing too much. Why is no big team going for Mitoma? He was considered one of the best wingers like a year ago. Not a clue, really. I don't think Mitoma's playing to the way that he was making noise a few years ago. That's probably why. Or maybe Brighton are just pricing them kind of brothers out of moves. I stop supporting Arsenal. Join me. You're by yourself, regardless of where it goes. Where this is one thing I'll never snake. I can't guarantee that if I had a girlfriend or a wife that I would never cheat on them. What I can guarantee is I'll never leave the club. Like this is my football club. Anyone that can stop supporting you you don't need to pull your pants up, man. Loyalty over royalty, man. A's up till we freeze up. I don't just say this for the bants. Love this football club. They make me vex, and I don't want to see Mikel Arteta and the players right now, but that's dead. DG, why did Arteta take Martinelli off instead of Saka? There are some of the reasons why Arteta won't win us anything. His tactics are so close yet so far. Shows faith in his choices, not what we see. To be fair with you, you could say that Saka was quite quiet, but I might have kept Saka on if I'm honest with you. Because it's like obviously it's like if Haaland, yeah, you could take them off, but it's like if you're City with Haaland or Liverpool with Salah or us with Saka or Chelsea with Cole Palmer and they're stinking up the place, sometimes you want to keep them on because as poor as they might be playing in that kind of game, they can get you out of it. You know, there's a bit of quality. Saka only came off with the injury. Martinelli, watching the game again, I do agree with what you're saying. I think taking him off was a bit of an L. I think the issue for me, and Ethan might have come on and played poor, but for me, I wanted, you lot heard me in the watch along. I wanted Ethan to come on instead of Gabriel Jesus, who, you know, Gabriel Jesus is my guy, but he's overly stinking up the place, if I'm honest with you. I genuinely believe Ethan can do that wide winger, playmaker, crap, whatever you call it. You know, Mikel Arteta, you as a player when we was running, not the best of example, Ramsey would play out wide, Wilshere play out wide. You know, I'm not comparing Ethan to Foden, but you could do the Foden thing and play out there, man. What pees me off is the fact we all said if City drop points, we should definitely be the ones to take advantage, and it's bloody Liverpool. Boy, refs saying they can be inconsistent. 2 wrongs don't make 1 right. Tantamount to jury saying the same, but jury have appeal hearings. Refs don't have appeals, only regrets, also none. Yeah, you have to hold time out for that, man. You have to hold time out. I don't know about that. Any man or woman that can change their team, that can change the football team they support or stop supporting them, you're scary, man. I understand, you know, if there is Arsenal fans that will always support the team, but they're saying, you know what, because football is an emotional sport. I would never do it, but I can understand it and sympathize if you said, you know what, I'm just not watching us at the moment. It's putting me through too much, but stop supporting. That's crazy. You know, I can't say one day we'll win trophies because it's been 20 plus years, but there will be a time when we're back. Don't come and join us. Simple yes or no. Is Arteta the man to bring us to the promised land? I don't know. How come I ain't got a crystal ball? At this moment in time, I see a lot of negatives. I see a lot of positives. The promised land for me is the Prem or the champs. We'll have to see in May. I don't know. I ain't got a crystal ball, my guy. But I think him and the players, you engineer your own issues. DG, do you think we will see a Prem before your 40th? Boy, I want to say yes, but I don't know at this point, man, because I remember sitting there in year 7 and actually like what that was 06. I remember thinking by 09, yeah, Arsenal are going to win a Prem. Like, I've been through so much and we still ain't won it. We flirted with it last 2 years. We've obviously been in the conversation, not doing the best, but been in the conversation now. We've had the Leicester year. I hate to bring up his name. You lot know I hate him, but we had that year, you know, I'm not even going to say his name, but it's right on brand with Arsenal versus Chelsea when we got rid of Ashley Cole and we got a certain player that had, you know, a relaxed Mohican and was wearing the number 10. Wenger, I love you, but a bit like Arteta in these last 4 games, you're smoking something special. We had that year. Boy, 10 years in it. I don't know, man. I've got expectations, but I've learned to not have expectations on things and people that I can't control. So at this point, I just support my team, comment the good, the bad, open to being presently surprised with a trophy. I hope that there'll be a day where I genuinely believe in my team again to the point where I can sit here with chest and say, we'll win this, we'll win that. I think there's a lot to be optimistic about, but I think there's several ingredients missing before I could come out in August and say, yeah, this, that, and the third. Man said this is a death row sentence with Arsenal. Life, no parole. That number 10 jarred me. Arteta deserves another season. I mean, signed a new deal, so it's probably irrelevant, but boy, Man, I've been sacked for less. On that note, though, people, I'm just aware that in 12 minutes, a video of mine's coming out. So if you want to hear me ramble about Arsenal and Chelsea and look from a tactical editing sort of point of view, this video will hyperlink that. 6 p.m. I'm back again. You know, it'd be nice for me to shut up and let the man them that I bring on my channel speak about Arsenal. We're going to talk about Arteta, talk about our title hopes, talk about a lot of things, people. So I hope to see you all there. Big up you lot for tuning in, your talking points, your differences of opinions, your thoughts, etc. Please make sure you're smashing the like button, all that good stuff. Safe.